Money has been tight during the past year, and if you're one of the millions of Americans struggling financially, or you're on the other side helping those who need a hand, this segment is for you. What to do with your money when crisis hits. Joining us is the author of this newly released book, Michelle Singletary. Welcome back, Michelle.
Thank you for having
It's
me.
great to see you. We know you from your Washington Post column, The Color of Money. But today we're talking about what to do when you are really down and out and you're really just not sure what to do next. And I'm not just talking about it, I joked about it before, I'm not just talking about, oh, money, it's tight, I can't get my mani-pedi. This is like serious, we need to get down to brass tacks. So why was it important for you to write this book right now?
Well, there's still so many people struggling. We've just about over a year in the pandemic. And although many people have returned to work and a lot of people have actually prospered, there's still a lot of people struggling. And I wanted to write a book to help them in the now, but also to remind people that this crisis is going to pass and there will be another one behind it. And that this is the time to prepare for that storm that'll eventually come.
I think you're absolutely correct because I know from personal experience friends who unfortunately fell on hard times before the pandemic hit. So they had, that rainy day fund. But, let's talk about really perfunctory things. Everyone has bills. But when you have no money coming in, what's the first thing you should pay?
So I like to call it that you need to triage your bills. And if you've ever been to an emergency room and you had like a sprained ankle, you're sitting there for hours, someone comes in, they take them right back, and you're like, hold up, I've been here for a long time. But what you don't know is that person's having a heart attack. And you've got to approach your bills the same way. You pay the most critical bills first. That's roof over your head, food on the table. And you let other things go because you only have a limited amount of money. Your rent, your mortgage, utilities, your auto loan bill, so that you can go look for a job, child support. Those are the priorities. The credit card debts and student loans and things like that. You can ask for a pause,
Right.
but you can't pay them if you have limited funds.
Well, that's what I was just going to say. Where do you find that people go wrong? What do they usually pay that they shouldn't? I know you mentioned student loans and asking for forgiveness, but what should the order be?
Yeah, so I know that because we've been drilling it. I've been drilling it. People pay your bills, pay them on time. But when there is a crisis, you can. It's like if there's something happening in your house and you have to rush out, you can't just grab everything. So you can't pay all the bills. And so, like credit card bills, put them on pause. Student loans, put them on pause. And you just pay what is necessary. And I know that's hard to do for a lot of people. And they make the mistake of trying to put a little money on everything and they get behind on everything.
So then when that happens, the dreaded phone call of this is a call from a collection agency calling for Marisol Castro, and now suddenly I want to change my last name. What are our rights when it comes to debt collectors?
You actually do have quite a bit of rights. The Fair Debt Collection Practices Act says that they can't harass you. They can't lie to you. They can't call you on your job if it's not allowed, right? They can't tell your neighbor, hey, Michelle owe me money. You should go over there and knock on her door and tell her to call me.
Oh, no,
There are a lot of things they can't do. And they can't, for example, if they aren't really going to take you to court, say the debt is too old to take you to court, they can't lie and tell you that they will. And so you really want to know what your rights are. The Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, CFPB, has a website where it has all these tips and letters that you can send to the debtors. They have templates of letters. So you want to go to that site to get some more information about what are your rights, because they just can't do anything to you.
That's wonderful advice because unfortunately I know people who have fallen victim to creditors who try to bully them. But in speaking of credits, when you're behind on all your bills, the logical thing is to worry about your credit. But you say differently. You say, let your credit score go. Why?
Yeah, let it go. Let it be like that cousin that you used to invite for Thanksgiving and you don't want them there no more. You're like, no, baby, we're not having Thanksgiving dinner today. So, listen, this is not the time to worry about. Now, I'm not saying that at some point you have to do some things to boost your credit score
Right.
if it goes down because you've lost your job and you can't pay your bills. But right now, I'm going to give you permission to just take care of the most important things in
Yeah.
your household and not worry about that. Credit scores are all about getting more debt. And right now, you're not in a position to get debt. So do what you have to do, pay those essential bills, and later, and I talk about this in the book, I'll teach you how to rebuild your credit score. And it doesn't take as long as you think.
Michelle, if all this fails and you need cash and you know someone who has disposable income, this is very interesting. I'd never heard this before, but you say instead of asking for a loan, you should ask for what? From that friend who's got a lot of cash.
Yeah, you ask for a financial gift. And I know people like, what? Listen, you know that you're in a financial crisis. And what usually goes awry is that people promise to pay that money back. They can't, right? And
Hmm.
then that ruins the relationship. So instead of starting off with a negative that you probably can't pay this back anytime soon, or you think you can, you just say, listen, I
Hmm.
lost my job. The pandemic has just decimated my financial life. Can you help me out? Could you pay my utility bills for a
Hmm.
couple of months? Could you help me out with the rent? And I know that is extremely hard for a lot of people to ask for that kind of help, but you need to do that, and that will free you up from that obligation. And if you're on the receiving end of that request, I'm going to need you to do it if you have the money and it's not your rent money.
Right.
I'm going to need you to free that person from that obligation. My husband and I did that. We had a relative who lost her job in the food service industry, and through another relative, we heard that she was in trouble, so she would have never called us.
Mm.
And I called her and I said, "Hey, what's the name of your rental company?" And I called and found out what her rent is, and we paid her rent for a couple of months. And she said, "Oh, I'll pay you back. I'll pay." I said, "Absolutely not. This is not a loan.
Hmm.
We're giving you this money out of our extra because we've been good stewards of our money, and we don't never have to speak about this again."
Right.
And we've never mentioned it. I only talk about it in interviews like this. And so I hope she doesn't see it because I don't want her to feel like, any pressure. But this is what this pandemic is. There are
Correct.
the haves and the have nots. And if you're a have, you need to help folks out, and don't wait for them to call. You know the
Hmm.
people in your life who need help, and you don't have to wait for them to call to get help. You can call them and then pay the people directly in case you're
Right.
wondering, they've been a little janky with their money
A
in the
little
past.
janky, right. Michelle, you're the cousin that I'm always going to invite back to Thanksgiving dinner. I don't care what you bring. And for that act, you get lots of good karma points. So we will take a page out of your book on either side of the spectrum. So thank you so much for being here today. For more money tips that will get you out of hard times and keep you from them, pick up a copy of What to Do with Your Money When Crisis Hits. Girl, you got me tongue-tied. It's available now. Always a pleasure, Michelle. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
Yep.